This is our beautiful cactus Zora that lives in our front yard. My daughter named her. She was here when we moved in, surrounded by all sorts of overgrown plants that I then had to tear out. They went probably most of the way up the yard. So I had to tear that out, replant everything, and I kept the cactus and all of her pups down here that had just fallen off at some point over the last few years and had formed new tiny cacti. A few of these also had been laying sideways and I had to cut and dry and replant. But I have to periodically get in here and cut off the ones that are laying against the ground and replant them. So some of these I'm going to do today. So this one's leaning pretty much all the way over, so that will be one of the ones that I cut. I see one that's kind of dying in there that didn't take, so that one will have to come out. This one also looks like if I can't prop it up appropriately, I may need to cut that as well. And I believe that there's one in front that I will also take. This tiny one. And then I'm thinking about this one right here because it may end up leaning into some of the other cactus. So that's what I'll do today. So of course when you're cutting cactus, you want to make sure that you have thick gloves on, because these barbs, even if they don't look very large, hurt very badly when they get stuck in your hand. So make sure that you're wearing something on the hand, obviously, that you're going to be touching the cactus with. And generally when I cut them, I want to cut them as low as possible. If there happens to be like a good separation point, like this one has one right here, I would probably cut it right along there. So that way it'll give the cactus an opportunity to grow again. Oh, the tiny lizard right there. But also it's a good starting point to root for the cactus that we are taking off and replanting. So this one doesn't quite have that. I'll see if I can get down a little bit lower. I'm going to cut it as low as possible. So I was able to cut it down this low. It shares the roots with the one next to it, so I didn't want to rip it apart and damage the one next to it. But what may happen is we may see another one grow from here. We will see. Otherwise, we do have this one. So what I could do here is either plant this one directly. Always have to plant them in the same way, so I will wait a few days for this to kind of callus over, and then I can just plant that in the ground wherever else I would like. Or I could cut it here as well, and then obviously let that callus and then have two opportunities to grow. So this one here is growing at a pretty awkward angle, and it does have a nice point at which I can cut it. So I am going to cut it right here. Okay, we just cut that off. It's a nice easy cut, so you can see the bottom here. And this is the point where we just cut it off. So it is a few days later now, and these two pieces of cactus have hardened over, as you can see. Because of this, there's less chance of root rot. So what I'm going to do is just pop them into two of my planters where I have been moving my cactus pops as they fall off. So that's just what we're going to do. All right, so it's been about 3 weeks since I potted up the two pieces of cactus. So I just wanted to check on root growth. An easy way to check on root growth without actually pulling it out too, which is generally what I would do, is just shaking the pot and seeing if it's kind of sturdy in there. This was the one that we planted. It is pretty sturdy. These ones are just kind of flappy because they are getting very long. So then you just gently wiggle it out. I don't want to, you can even dig it up a little bit. I don't want to break off the roots. But I do just want to make sure that they are growing, which they are. Good white roots here. You can see, obviously there's a lot of soil stuck to them, but we do have good root growth beginning here. So you can kind of see. Show that here. Make sure you can see it. Yep. So this one seems to be doing pretty well. This one looks really good. The other one has not been looking the best of the pieces of cactus that I have propagated. But we've also had really, we're not starting to get into the summer here in Florida, so we've had hot sun and quite a bit of rain. So even though it's not looking the best, I anticipate there to be some root growth. Oh, and there was just a little snap there, so hopefully I didn't break it off. Okay, so yeah, we do have some root growth here. It's not as significant as I would maybe normally expect it to be, but it is there, which means it'll just continue to grow, and they look super healthy, these white roots here. So it worked. So I have been doing this. I've done this with many pieces of the cactus already, many of the pups that have kind of fallen off. So this is the strategy, and then I usually just leave them in the pots until I find a better place for them. These ones will probably stay in these with their little cactus friends for a while, but that is it. And again, you just want to push the soil down. Again, just reminders in terms of potting, just making sure that there is good drainage at the bottom, a hole in the bottom, and also good soil that drains well. The soil that they're in right now is, I believe, a cactus mix. I think I have some extra perlite mixed in, and I generally put coconut husks at the bottom because we have an abundance of that, and it also helps to keep the dirt in the holes so it doesn't make dirt spots everywhere. So there they are.